But honestly, listen, if we can't deal with Meta, if we can't deal with Twitter, where are we going to go? TikTok is banned. Actually, well, TikTok is banned and it's not banned because it was banned last night. We're speaking of Sunday, 11 o'clock, right? Me and my lady, as some of you might know, we like to share videos with each other on TikTok throughout the day. And then we get together at night and we sit there and we lay there and we watch these videos together. And it's usually, 10 minutes, 15 minutes worth of videos that we watch together, sometimes 5, whatever. And then last night we sat down and it was like 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we finished all our videos. We went to Instagram to watch our reels that we send to each other. And then we went back on TikTok because the algorithm is just better just to watch regular videos. And lo and behold, boom, TikTok is banned. Mm-hmm. Right? And I was like, wow. And the first video I see on TikTok as it's banned, that page where it just stops, was Lady Izdahar. I'm like, what? The iconic last image of my ban was just Lady Izdahar, and I love that. And what's funny is like my fiance just messaged me and she's like, hey, TikTok is now unbanned. I'm like, dude, it's been 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's still there?
Yeah, it's still here. It's like my MySpace is here, but it's like really janky.
Yeah, it is.
Like
really
I still have access to some of my friends' lists. It's just like, look at this. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think that just hasn't been updated in forever.
What the fuck is this, man?
I remember him. These are, it's like,
these are people from like high school and shit.
Yeah. Actually, these are. This is. Yeah,
I wonder if somebody still leave a comment down below if you actually still use MySpace. I would love to see
I dated her
how
in
many
high
of you.
school. I don't remember her. That's crazy. Yeah. So these are real people that I.
Oh my God, that guy looks like a serial killer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind this is like 2008 or whatever. This is literally a time capsule.
It really is. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So currently MySpace still kind of works, but it
takes forever just to scroll.
Yeah,
through
it's like super janky.
MySpace, if you're listening to this, which
God.
I completely doubt, if you're listening to this, please revamp this up. Allow us comrades to come in and let this be our home. We would love MySpace to be comrade space.
Dude, I wish these worked. These are mine. This is me.
You can't even see your photos.
Yeah, well, this is one of my bands.
I'm
from
not gonna say it.
From high school. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I like the name though.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I didn't want to derail you, but yeah, MySpace still exists, sort of. Dude, I loved MySpace. MySpace was the shit. It
looks so much different than I would ever.
Yeah,
remember.
it's just I feel like it just hasn't been updated in, like, like what everyone speculated was going to happen with TikTok, which is like, it wouldn't be removed from the app, or it would be removed from the App Store, but it wouldn't be removed from your phone, and you would still be able to use it. However, you'd stop getting updates, like automatic updates and security updates, so that over time it would just degrade, and then it would be useless. I think that's what's happening here with MySpace. I just think that this hasn't been updated in years or decades, so like this coding is all fucked up, and
look right there, it says 517 releases. Is that the song name, or is that
new song 517?
Okay, well look up when that was.
Tom York.
We can, and then we'll tell you.
Yeah, Tom
York surprise, 517.
5.
And when that came out.
Yeah, release. 2022.
Okay, so
yeah,
they haven't updated in 3 years.
Yeah, so like it's like the banner if you go to MySpace, like MySpace.com, their landing page is for a song release from 2022. So that's my point. I think that like it's still like the servers are still alive, but there's no more security updates. There's no more infrastructure updates.
Yeah.
Like the actual, so it's just degrading and just kind of like devolving and just it's just gonna break.
Well, since we're on the topic of social media apps, why don't we talk about social media a bit more?
Yeah.
So as I was saying earlier, TikTok got banned as of last night.
Yeah.
And it was a temporary ban. So I read into it a little bit. Can you pop up the notes there? So this is from CBS News. It says TikTok began restoring services and users in the United States following a temporary and voluntary shutdown. So this is not that lasted less than a day. So it was 12 hours, right? I thought it was like, oh, this is it, right? Next thing I know, fiance is like, hey, TikTok's back alive. I'm like, no fucking way. Looked up and it's like, no shit, you could use TikTok again. And the company said Sunday that it was in the process of reinstating access after President-elect Donald Trump vowed to issue an executive order to restore the app.
Yeah, so I think what happened here is that like TikTok was set to be banned. TikTok followed the ban.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then it closed. But then Trump issued this statement on Truth. I think it was on Truth, and I think it was on all of his platforms. He issued this statement saying that, and he drafted the actual.
But what did I say?
Executive order.
Did I not say earlier that he's like, I think Trump might ban it because like we're doing so well on the network.
Here's my point though: is that like Trump said he's going to release an executive order when he takes office, because he takes office today. We're recording this on January 19th is a Sunday. June. Trump takes office tomorrow, January 20th. His inauguration is tomorrow. With Nelly is playing the party, by the way, which I thought was odd. But
Nelly. I thought it was Kelly Clarkson. That's what I heard.
No, it's Carrie Underwood.
Underwood.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people. Jason
bunch
Aldean,
of white people.
A whole bunch of white people. But also, I think Snoop Dogg played one of his balls.
No
and then,
way.
And then Nelly is going to play tomorrow.
Bro, lost hella respect for Snoop.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I saw an article, or I saw a post on Instagram that said that Snoop Dogg was scheduled to play like one of the balls, because there's like a bunch of balls. It doesn't matter. My point is that Trump announced that he's gonna immediately put out an executive order that would rescind this ban. So I think TikTok is just basically defying the ban in anticipation that he will. So they're technically breaking the law, right? Like TikTok restored service. TikTok says specifically, we thank President Trump for providing the necessary clarity and assurance to our service providers that they will face no penalties, providing TikTok to over 170 million Americans and allowing over 7 million small businesses to thrive. So TikTok is defying the ban in the hopes or under the assumption that Trump will save them later.
So they're basically licking Trump's
100%.
licking Trump's asshole.
100%. Like if you saw the post that they when they went dead.
Yeah, when
let me pull it up. I'll read it. The actual like post that they made I didn't, but I'm just gonna go to our it's on our story from last night, so it should still be there.
Oh yeah, that's right. God, I'm fucking brain dead.
Yeah, the actual messaging, so when you go onto TikTok, says, sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. A law banning TikTok has been enacted in the U.S. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok for now. We are fortunate that President Trump has indicated he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned.
All hail Trump.
Yeah, so like... And then immediately after that, or I don't know the exact timeline, he issued this statement saying that yes, he will issue an executive order unbanning TikTok. And then since then, TikTok has been like, okay, we unban ourselves. So they are defying the ban, like I said, in the hopes that Trump will save them. So I doubt that they will see any kind of repercussions or penalties for it under the current framework. But yeah, so as of right now, it looks like the whole thing was just bullshit and TikTok's back, and it was all just, you know what's funny? I bet you this did great numbers for TikTok.
Oh yeah,
the days leading up to that ban, everyone is like thinking, because I don't know. Do you remember the whole Flappy Bird controversy?
No, I mean obviously I remember Flappy Bird.
Remember Flappy Bird?
Yeah.
I don't remember the details surrounding it, but I remember that it was the man who it was just a guy. I think I want to say he was Japanese. He was a Japanese man, I think, that made this game, and it blew up. Right? I remember everyone lost their goddamn minds over Flappy Bird. But then like
I remember that shit.
It was too much pressure and everything for him, and like it was like the. Him to kind of upkeep on the servers and everything. I don't remember the details. It became too much. Anyway, he took it down. He's like, he wanted to retire from public scrutiny, and he just couldn't handle it, and he just took down Flappy Bird. In leading up to that decision, Flappy Bird downloads went crazy, and then Flappy Bird was then pulled from the app stores, and you could no longer get Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
But Flappy Bird was not a like web-based game, or it wasn't a internet connected thing. So once you had Flappy Bird on your device, it was there forever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So all of any hardware that had Flappy Bird installed on it, you could buy like an iPhone 4 or whatever on eBay and it was like Flappy Bird installed $4,000 or whatever.
Wow.
So like all
Holy
if you had an
shit.
iPad or an iPhone that had Flappy Bird on it,
I
it
had
was all
that
of a
shit.
sudden,
Man, I
it was
gotta
all of a
find
sudden
that
worth a lot more.
I gotta find that phone.
And
man.
I think it was like an inflated thing, and this didn't last long. It was like a bubble that burst, but like there was a trend and there was this huge rush of like getting Flappy Bird. So I wonder leading up to the TikTok ban if there was a similar thing that happened where everybody rushed to download this app from their in light of it being, because like the original speculation was that it would still work. It would just be pulled from the App Store. And so everyone rushes, downloads it from the App Store, knowing that it will no longer be available, but that they will still have access to it for the next year or two until the software kind of degrades for lack of updates. So I think that the numbers download numbers leading up to Sunday
Which
probably
spiked.
spiked.
And then they reinstated
And then
it.
they reinstated
That's
it. And
low-key kinda genius, I'm not gonna lie.
it's in the news every day now. I'm just wondering, this has just got to be doing great for TikTok stock prices. They're a publicly traded company, I would assume, right? TikTok? They have to be.
I'm not sure. I'm not the man to ask. I don't know shit about stocks, to be honest with you.
We know, like, if you take a public company, it can be traded on the open market, right?
Correct.
So
I just don't know if they're public.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been talking about it so much. I should probably know this. I assume it is. No, TikTok is not a publicly traded company.
That's what I figured. It's a Chinese company, man.
Yeah.
They're not gonna. China doesn't, for the most part, doesn't believe in public companies for the most part. So I wouldn't be surprised that ByteDance didn't go publicly.
Yeah, so I wonder. I think that means that it's like revenue is not publicly because like it's public data, like it's public information. If Apple shares or whatever, like anybody can look at Apple's like quarterly reports because it's a publicly traded company, right? So like that stuff is open access for the most part. I think there are some limitations. I'm not an expert, but like I think a company like this is not. So I don't think we have that data of like how many people
we can speculate. So we can speculate, which is a very plausible speculation.
Cool.
So yeah,
that's TikTok's back for now. So we'll see, and presumably it's back for good now, and the whole thing is over.
Yeah, I would like that. One thing I do have to say to anybody watching this, if you're watching this already, you're most likely a fucking communist or some sort of lefty. If you are one of those, do not fall for the whole savior complex. I was watching a video last night about this German girl explaining, like, this is literally what Hitler did. He came back and acted as a savior. He reinstated certain things. And he's like, if Trump does come back and reinstates TikTok, they're going to basically praise Trump. The Trump is going to get a boost in ratings from young people.
100%, yeah.
From young people. And that is, again, kind of fucking genius.
Yeah,
he's like, let's leave this here, whatever. The Chinese have this bit of information. But now we can really control them a bit more, because if they're going to make a deal between Trump and them, they might have some sort of deal with TikTok, with the CEO of TikTok, to have some sort of propaganda mechanism for Republicans or banning some more left-wing stuff. So yes, Trump, if he does reinstate TikTok, great. I'm not going to allow him to have like the victory complex of like, I did this, but also remember in future instances that when this does happen, there will be more propaganda, right-wing propaganda on TikTok. Yeah. And also he will get a growth of popularity from the youngins, which is not good, because right now yes, TikTok, the ban of TikTok is banned, but what it did happen was grow class consciousness from the millennials and Gen Zs even more. So I almost want the TikTok ban to be completed, because it's more people are going on RedNote, more people are emphasizing that this is literally just corruption upon Congress, because Congress literally has fucking stock in Meta. And so this is blatant corruption, right? And if Trump does the opposite of like allowing it to exist, it almost looks like he's not the corrupt one. And I don't want that.
Yeah. It should also be stated that part of Trump's announcement was that he wants a 50% stake in TikTok, the United States. He wants it to be state-run media. So that's the whole part. I forgot to mention that part. Yeah, so this is from Truth Social. This is Donald Trump's announcement. I'm asking companies not to let TikTok stay dark. I will issue an executive order on Monday to extend I'm not going to do the whole thing because it's long. I will issue an executive order on Monday to extend the period of time before the law's prohibitions take effect, so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. God, his grammar is awful. The order will also confirm that there will be no liability for any company that helped keep TikTok from going dark before my order. So yeah, he's telling them that they're like, we're going to protect. There's going to be no bans, no repercussions. Americans deserve to see our exciting inauguration on Monday, as well as on other events and conversations. So that's kind of very telling right there. Is part of this ban is because he wants people to be able to watch his inauguration on TikTok.
I'm telling you, I'm calling this already.
Thing. I would like the United States to have a 50% ownership position in a joint venture. By doing this, we save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up. Without U.S. approval, there is no TikTok. Without our approval, it is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Or no, with our approval, it's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe trillions.
And that's what I was saying is like now they'll have the ability to, push their propaganda out because there's now a 50% stake, and also they'll have the opportunity to ban the people that they want to ban if it causes governmental upset, if it causes any sort of resentment towards the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, but TikTok got saved, but at what risk? TikTok got saved, but at what fault? But so then moving on to our next subject.
Well, we got to talk about RedNote, right?
Exactly.
That's what's got to be next.
Moving on to our next subject, since people from TikTok have been fleeing, TikTok was supposed to be banned. There was a whole refugee crisis called the TikTok refugees that moved to RedNote, which I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, this massive exodus.
The first real mass exodus of white people as fucking refugees.
Yeah.
Since like the 1600s to America. So let's see. We do have a video for you guys here to watch, but I want to talk about RedNote a little bit. RedNote is a Chinese company that is, I want to say, controlled by China. You have to remember, TikTok itself is a branch from a company, from a Chinese TikTok, owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is not the Chinese government. ByteDance, just like RedNote, are Chinese companies that are basically in cahoots with the Chinese government, which you could say, oh my God, how are you going to be? You have to understand that China has a strict policy of what can be placed on their internet, on their social webs. That's why they have almost everything different than the rest of the world has, is because they want to make sure they control any sort of Western propaganda, Western imperialism, any sort of kissing ass toward the American imperial empire or the West in general. And you might see that as, censorship of free speech. They see it as they're trying to maintain their nation from falling apart. And they have done so spectacularly, because any nation that succumbs to Western propaganda ends up falling apart. And God damn it, what country has not fallen apart? China. China's still there. The Soviet Union's not there anymore. I mean, the only country that's really there besides the Soviet Union would be like Cuba and Vietnam. But Vietnam has a lot of influence from China. Yeah. And also Cuba, just resilient motherfuckers. I respect the Cubans very much. Shout outs to Castro. Shout outs to the Cuban government in general. Bless me, senpai. And so, yeah, RedNote is just basically another company that they have in China. And it's kind of more of an Instagram than a TikTok.
Yeah, it's mostly like an Instagram. Yeah. It's just a photo sharing and then like a comment. But
it's great.
Thing. It's pretty cool actually.
It's classy.
I'm on there. We're on there. Follow Revolutionary Rhetoric on.
Follow us. We kind of blown up a little bit. Yeah, look good. The Chinese love us apparently. Goddamn.
Well, I was just pulling up some data to say, because it's the #1 app on like the App Store this week.
Yep.
They have seen 3.4 million users since Monday. Which is up from about 700,000, I think. So it's exploded by like a factor of almost 5. Like, it's just been crazy numbers of people going over to RedNote. And the coolest thing about all this is that it's just completely opened up this free exchange of like ideas and conversation between Americans and Chinese folks.
This is the last thing they wanted.
Dude, some of the screenshots of these conversations are so great. It's just like so eye-opening. All of these Americans are just actually having conversations with Chinese people like directly.
Yeah, and they're seeing also the Chinese lifestyle. They're like, oh, China's poor, working in factories, sweatshops, child poverty.
Nothing has been as good for like just removing the shroud of like this evil communism than this. Because like everyone is like, oh wait, so it's a normal country that's just like has free healthcare.
They literally have all their other shit too.
Yeah, and that's
they don't pay for housing in the way that we do.
It's just been so great. Everyone has just been like, oh, we were lied to our whole lives. China's amazing, and also America's trash.
Yeah,
like,
and that's like
been the recap.
Right there, just 3 million people radicalized.
Yeah, it's been so great to see like all of the lies and propaganda debunked from America. Yeah. About what it's like in China.
And I've never seen so much appeal and approval of socialism and communism till this point.
100%.
It has increased like crazy. This is the fucking moment.
Yeah, it was like 3 in 5 millennials are like okay with communism like a month ago, according to that whatever it was.
1/3.
I bet you that number has now
I have
like
a positive
doubled.
view of communism.
Yeah. That number has got to be not doubled, but that number has got to be moved up just because of this open exchange of ideas. And like not for nothing, but that's what like the fucking people in democracy are always like railing on about, is like a free and open exchange of ideas is core for democratic nation, and it's like this is it. When you actually show people the truth, it's like, oh yeah, China's awesome. It's America that fucking sucks. So,
yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people already knew that. They just didn't see what are the options, what are the alternatives, And I was dying because like people were moving to RedNote and they were experiencing like a TikTok ban. It's like, isn't this free speech? Right. And then like people are starting to post videos like in the last week on TikTok. It's like, this is ridiculous. We're supposed to be like the freedom of speech. It's like, where's the freedom of speech? China's supposed to be the communist fucking crazy government that bans everything and is insanely strict on everything. And here is America fucking banning social media. Here's America like literally taking governmental control over private companies because they don't like it. I was like, isn't this almost like like, God, what's the term when they? It's just projection.
Yeah, it's like a role reversal and just projection.
And people are like, "Yo, look at this!" Like the regular Joe Schmo was like, "Look at this projection." The whole time, I thought we were the freedom. We were the freedom country. We were the country of like open democracy and open speech. And now, I think the veil has been revealed.
I think this has been the best like thing to. Yeah, like I said, remove that shroud, lift that veil, and like really just kind of show people that like you've been lied to, and like there are better ways to do things. Capitalism is not working, and America is a failed state, and China is flourishing.
It's time, and I think what will be the nail in America and America's capitalistic coffin. Nail in
the coffin.
Yeah, America's coffin nail. I'm sorry, I'm an immigrant. This is my second language. Okay. I think will be the final nail in the coffin will be when Trump takes office, and then after Trump's entire term of 4 years, and the economy is still garbage, and he keeps spouting how we have the best economy on earth.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that because the Secretary of Treasury confirmation hearings is talking about all the tax cuts they want.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh god, this is gonna destroy our economy.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
It'll. But I think that will be the final nail in the coffin because when all this shit happens and America's economy fucking plummets to the earth, that will be the final radicalizing point. And quote me now, hear me now, quote me later.
You're struggling, man.
Yeah, I'm struggling. Hear me now, quote me later. That when that comes to terms in Trump's third or fourth year, there will be the biggest radicalizing movement in U.S. history. I believe so. I honestly, certainly believe so. Because now people will have this veil that is unveiled, I guess.
A veil that's unveiled.
A veil that's unveiled. All these things are happening where they can see pure corruption and this because of like things like TikTok and the economy being so garbage. The white moderate is starting to kind of not radicalize, but kind of educate themselves and indoctrinate themselves in like realism, like what is real? Because they're saying, oh, under Biden, this shit is happening. Look how bad the economy is. Well, when Trump takes over, it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. Believe me, it's not going to get better. And so what happens is people's like, well, Trump's wrong too. So what is the answer? And we're over here like,
hi.
Hi,
we've been here the whole time.
The whole motherfucking time.
Well, I don't know. There's a whole lot more to say about RedNote, but I'm just really curious to say, like, I'm really curious to see how the U.S. government responds because they crack down on TikTok, which is kind of like vaguely Chinese. RedNote is straight up Chinese, like Communist Party, like, and I'm like, I want to know, like, what is the U.S. government gonna do? You know,
we got Mao Zedong up there, baby.
I think it's translated from like Little Red Book. It's literally like that's the translation for the name of the app. I think it's called RedNote in like colloquial terms, but I mean I think there's some Mandarin nuance there, but I think it's an homage.
It is supposed to be an homage.
It's an homage to Mao's Little Red Book. So it's very much like this is the Chinese Communist app. You thought TikTok was the Chinese Communist app? No, this is that.
Welcome to communism.
And like, and that's just it's so funny how hard their plan backfired in terms of like.
Absolutely, I love to see it. Oh my god, I love my heart. I have a reason to live now.
Did you want to play this? Did you want to play this Izdar video?
Yeah, let's do it. So just for reference, this is from CNN Business. This was a couple of days ago, so by the time you see it, it might be even like a week old. On the front cover is our fantastic lady, Izdar, and it's talking about how TikTok users are flocking to a surprising app as US boom loons, right? So this is about RedNote.
Yep.
So let's go.
Hi, who else is here from TikTok?
Hey, y'all.
We're from Texas.
Thank you for welcoming us to the app.
We do not trust TikTok will ever embrace American values.
With TikTok's future hanging by a thread, a huge surge of users are flooding a surprise alternative.
This is so much better than TikTok.
RedNote, the English name for Xiaohongshu, meaning Little Red Book, drawing comparisons to a collection of Mao Zedong's quotes, small enough to carry around. RedNote is a Chinese communist government-monitored social media platform, now topping Apple's U.S. App Store.
Welcome, TikTok refugees. RedNote is not Instagram.
Many say they came here out of spite.
Cute.
I refuse to support Facebook, Meta, especially Elon Musk and X.
And they're making unexpected cross-cultural connections.
Hey there, fellow TikTok refugee here, and I just want to say I have no idea how to speak Chinese.
Today I would like to teach you some Chinese.
Some users searching for international romance or the perfect Chinese name.
Let me help you to pick one that suits you.
One post even recreates famous Chinese and Russian propaganda posters. Just days ago, this may have seemed unthinkable.
I was scared that TikTok was going to go away,
so
I wanted to find an alternative.
Heather Roberts from Texas says TikTok refugees like her are desperate to find a new platform, a new social media fix.
I haven't been on RedNote for very long. I've only been on there for maybe 3 days, and I found myself like, wow, this is very addicting. I'd probably say it's a little bit more addicting than TikTok.
An addicting algorithm. Exactly what app developers want. Experts say there are risks when it comes to the rise of another Chinese app. Just like TikTok, RedNote collects huge amounts of user data. China's laws require companies to share that data with the government, but only if requested. Heavy censorship is already affecting American users, some getting their first taste of China's tightly controlled internet. Users say posts on topics deemed sensitive by Chinese authorities are being deleted, including LGBTQ+ issues and even a popular Japanese anime. Other posts face backlash, flooded with negative or offensive comments. Some new users report racist questions, including whether it's okay to use the N-word. Let's say that TikTok goes away and a lot of Americans flood into these Chinese apps. Is that a win for Beijing?
I think it really depends on Beijing's view on how much they need to be in control of the narrative.
As the U.S. Supreme Court and incoming Trump administration debate TikTok's fate, the rise of RedNote raises new questions and concerns about Americans embracing yet another platform under Chinese government control. Will Ripley, CNN, Taipei.
Interesting. Yeah, so what I was going to say about that is, like, it's just so telling that, like, we criticize, or rather CNN or people will criticize RedNote in China because they can't immediately invade their platform and then say what they want to say, like the N-word.
Yeah.
And like that's like, so it's just strange for CNN to kind of point that out of like,
well, they're gonna be very they're gonna pick out like the worst things that have happened, and it's just, you have to understand with context, like most Chinese people don't really know that much about American culture. They don't understand about like American norms. Like, hey man, we don't say the N-word because it's racially insensitive.
Like, it's okay to ban that. It's okay to not approve posts to say that. It's okay to limit that free speech.
They don't
like, I am not a free speech absolutist. Like, it's not only is it okay, it's a good thing that the government of China stops those posts and stops people from doing that. Also, the thing about the LGBTQ issues is bullshit, because like my RedNote feed is already kind of like very queer friendly, and like the one video was like, it was a Chinese trans man like giving like dressing tips and stuff, and it was like, I'm a trans
I see
man.
those
it's like,
all the time.
I think that CNN's a little that's untrustworthy
100%.
Because like from what my limited experience, it's only been like 4 or 5 days I've had RedNote. I have had quite a bit of like LGBTQ friendly posts that are from China, not like Americans posting on RedNote.
I've also
Chinese
seen,
posting on RedNote.
I've also seen a post of 2 women kissing, getting married.
Yeah,
right. Which I think that was like Thailand. That is Thailand now. They approved gay marriage.
Oh, did they? I don't know.
Well, one of the countries approved gay marriage in Asia. I forgot what country.
I don't think it was Thailand. I think Thailand went the other way. I'm not sure.
But regardless, they got married, and there's these 2 Asian women kissing each other in like the wedding attire, and it's still there, man.
Yeah,
no problem.
I think that's just CNN fear mongering.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of people in China kind of have a resentment for LGBTQ because they're...
Oh, yeah. Gay marriage in Thailand has been legal since... What? It says since January 22nd, 2025, which is 3 days from now. I don't know. It's...
Maybe they got married.
Oh, yeah, it's...
Maybe they got married, but it's not completely legalized.
No, it's from June of last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why that was the AI answer, and that's fucking that proves how AI is wrong.
Yeah,
looks like it was summer of last year.
Yeah, I knew it was Thailand. I was like, Thailand or the Philippines. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think one of them is pretty anti-LGBT, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway,
regardless, but regardless, it's a bunch of horseshit, man. Yeah. I'm like, yes, some Chinese people might not be as
open,
not even open, inclusive. I would say they're just not as experienced. They haven't had the opportunity to meet people that are gay,
exposed.
Thank you. Yeah. That's the correct term.
That's the correct term.
I am struggling today. That's the correct term. Basically being exposed to it. Well, I'm sure once the exposure, a couple of years, it's going to be normal over there too. You can't expect these things to just be like, if they're not pro LGBTQ, they're a fucking vile people. Yeah. Just like, no, they just don't have the exposure. You know, we are very pro Palestinian. There's a lot of Palestinian people that are like anti LGBTQ, right? And it's not because they're shitty people. It's just because they're not exposed to it. How are you going to have social reforms and social growth in your country and your society when you don't even have the norms of having proper food and water?
Yeah,
right?
But that's all the more reason to like support and like embrace apps like this where there is that cross-cultural experiences and where they can get exposed to American LGBTQ culture, not like the culture, but like, and then also likewise that can exchange and we can be exposed to more Chinese culture and not just communism, but just Chinese culture and daily life in general. I think there's only positives to this.
The thing is, that's what I'm saying by Chinese culture. Chinese culture is communism in a sense.
Yeah.
Not all of it, of course, but part of it, it's infiltrated.
It's integrated. It's baked into their whole like worldview.
And we're like, these people don't have nice cars or these crazy businesses or blah, blah, blah. And then I'll see a video on fucking TikTok, a Chinese woman driving this like purely electric car, nicer than most people that I know driving around here on their way to work as an independent woman. And you're just like, I thought this was a fucking poor country.
Like 80% home ownership among millennials, like 90% home ownership among like all generations or something. It's just crazy.
Just tell that to anybody here that's a millennial or a Gen Z and they'll be instantly radicalized.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's enough for me. It's like, dude, just to buy a home. I want to buy a house so bad. Me and my partner, I almost said their name, but I'm getting better. Me and my partner are like looking at houses and we're just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, it's just not going to happen anytime soon, at least.